All right, up next, we got a Somali woman saying, please don't kick us out, and asking the black community for help because they feel like they're being persecuted in Minnesota. This should be interesting.
Hi, so I just really want to make this video from like a human space. This is something I've been really meaning to say, and I'm so glad that I can finally articulate it to you guys. So I'm Somali. I grew up in Minnetonka. I've been raised here my entire life. I'm born here and I've lived here. I've studied here. I'm a pre-med. I do research, and that's usually the type of stuff I talk about on my page. But right now I feel like it's really important for me to say this. What I'm going to say is that I have been getting so many messages telling me to go back to your country, go back to your country. But the reality of the situation is the United States is the only country I've ever known my entire life. And the thing is, the great irony of it all is I'm not the ambassador of Somalia. I don't speak for Somali people. I'm not a spokesperson for this community. I'm just one young person trying to study, navigate life, and live like any other 20-something-year-old living here in this state. And so something that I feel like is going on is that there's a lot of immigrant people and first-gen, second-gen kids with, like me, with this weight on our shoulders trying to explain everything going on in our communities, trying to defend our communities. But I'm really no different from any other 20-something-year-old trying to make it here in this state, in this country, in this world. And so I'm sharing this because I really feel like a lot of us are being treated this way and dealing with this quietly. But the reality is we aren't symbols. We aren't some type of ambassador. We are just human beings like everybody else.
I'm just not starting to dive deep inside of what's going on. But I'm hearing and seeing a lot of Somali people in Minnesota feel like they need to defend themselves. And I've been hearing some rumblings about it, but I haven't really dived in too deep in it to see what those rumblings are about. But I think that there's more here than meets the eye, so let's dive a little deeper.
Across this app, I keep seeing people ask Black Americans, what have immigrants ever done to you? So here's the truth, because we are not going to keep pretending immigrants are automatically innocent just because supremacy is the bigger villain. Yes. Immigration has caused harm to the Black American community. Not every immigrant, not only immigrant, and not always with intent, but measurable harm has happened. Economically, many employers have chosen immigrant labor at lower wages instead of hiring Black workers at fair wages. That choice has reduced opportunities for Black workers in the job sectors where we have historically been concentrated. That is a harm. Politically, as immigrant populations grew, major parties shifted their promises, their attention, and resources toward new voting blocs. The Black agenda has been repeatedly deprioritized as politicians calculate numbers rather than loyalty. That is harm. Culturally, Black American creativity has been used globally as a resource, while Black Americans are erased as origin. At the same time, many immigrants adopt negative stereotypes about Black Americans when they arrive because they learn quickly that distancing from us provides social benefits in this system. That is a harm. Geographically, the pattern is the same across multiple cities. Long-standing Black neighborhoods lost their population share and cultural control as new communities with greater economic leverage moved in. Gentrification and repopulation, and both resulted in Black displacement. That is a harm. Socially, immigrants did not enter a neutral landscape. They entered a country with an existing racial order that rewards those who rise above Black Americans, whether conscious or not. Many participated in that reward structure.
She's right.
That is a harm. And the only reason this conversation is treated like a taboo is because Black Americans are allowed to blame supremacy, but not allowed to acknowledge lateral harm from anyone else. We are allowed to hurt. We are just not allowed to name who contributed to the harm unless the answer is people. That is not hate. That is not xenophobia. That is not jealousy. It is displacement layered on top of sacrifice. Black Americans built what we built under terror and brutality, and everyone else arrived and benefited from that foundation. And when we say protect our share, protect our identity, protect our cultural space, we are told we do not get to decide. That is a harm. No one is asking immigrants to leave this country. Well, some people are, but I'm not all of us are. No one is asking immigrants to undo history or carry guilt for what they didn't personally do. What is being asked and has always been asked is simple. Acknowledge the part you play in continuing the harm, whether you meant to or not. This has always been about accountability and acknowledgement. If accountability feels like an attack, ask yourself why you're willing to abandon being the harmed class in your own country just to become part of the system that harms us in this one.
She's right about the benefits that immigrants experience, but their benefits aren't their fault. They're our fault because Black Americans have allowed white women to tie social agendas to Black causes. You know, like affirmative action being renamed into DEI because it's diversity, equity, inclusion, which includes white women and all people of color instead of just Black people. We've permitted that. We've been scapegoats and mules for social agendas in the Liberal Party, and that all comes due to the lens of tribalism. Now, what she's talking about right here is like some motherly shit. Like, why the fuck does it matter if they acknowledge anything? We're not here to fucking police them. They're not our children. We don't need them to acknowledge their harm. They play the game how the game goes. We're different races for a reason, because it's a race for economic resource, to be honest with you. I heard that from, I forgot where, but it stuck with me. So there's no acknowledgement needed. All we have to do is survey ourselves and acknowledge it for ourselves that that's what's happening, and then don't repeat the mistake. You think that they don't intend on the things that they've done? Them acknowledging it isn't gonna do anything. It's not like they don't know what they're doing.
So Somalians are trying to drag Black Americans into their fight. Check this out.
But Trump based his order on a report whose author has made it clear that his goal is to denationalize and deport as many Somali Americans as possible. This is not about crime. It's not about safety. This is about purging people like me from this country. Minnesota has always been a welcoming place for people fleeing a home country that is battered by war, poverty, and hunger. Europeans in the 19th and 20th century, Black Americans from the South, Hmong.
That was a call for allyship, and they threw the race card out there. We're all Black. What happened to I'm not Black, I'm Somalian? And what happened to the call of allyship when y'all was scamming Minnesota out of hundreds of millions of dollars? They only pull out the race card when it's beneficial to them, because before this, they'll tell you, you're jealous because Somalians are driving Priuses. And there's no allyship when they taking advantage of all these government assistance programs. HUD, public housing, they're not going to let you in their building that they're in. And these are the same people that will tell you, if you Black American Somalians will say, hey, my people came over here in planes and your people came over here in shackles and chains. Keep that same energy. I respect that. Since me and my peoples came over here in shackles and chains in a ship, I'm porting my ship right here. This is where I'm going to port my ship. Don't use Black as a race card. Don't use Black when it's beneficial. Keep that same energy. You not Black, you Somalians. You not Black, you Nigerians. Keep that same energy. Because when it's time to benefit off these government programs, like housing, all that stuff, they lock other people out. They don't care about nobody else but their own people. So why you yelling allyship now?
And now I'm understanding, and you're going to look at, I hear they ripped off Somalians. Ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Okay? Somebody say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care.
Black people think that they can attach themselves to everybody's issue, and so since we've marketed ourselves that way, a lot of them think that we're just gonna come and run and fight for them. Black people need to stay out of this bullshit. Stand back and allow it to be what it's gonna be. Allow ICE to do their job, allow the president to do his job, and understand that whether you like it or not, they're competing, and this is just a strategy for them to be able to survive in the best way possible. And if you fall for it, you're a fool.
Deep game, fuck the news, as my homie would say. No, they coming for the Mollies though. And when I say them, ICE. ICE coming for the Mollies. I am a Minnesotan, born and raised right here in St. Paul, Minnesota, where 90,000 Somalian people live. And yeah, they coming for their ass. And I'm not fully against it. But only take like 20,000 of them. Because the rest of them cool as hell. You got to leave the rest of them here. Because we cool with them. I'm my mama. The women beautiful. Gats. They got real gat. Y'all want to see some cornbread fat? What the shit they eat? The fufu? You want to see a gat?
Swear to God.
Get you a Somali girl. My mama. And her shit real. No BBL.
You a fucking lie.
The rest of them evil motherfuckers that can't drive and just be causing havoc, you can take their ass back. On my mama, send their ass right over there. But don't come over here fucking with our people, man. Because the Mollies is a part of our communities. You feel me? Like, if you from Minnesota, you was raised there, born here like me, you understand. The Mollies is like niggas, bro. They a part of the community, bro. Like, they not going nowhere. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know why y'all fucking with them. But if you don't know who the rough, tough Somalis is, you might want to do some research because they like that and they get really like that. And I don't know if, you know what I'm saying, they scared of ICE and the bomb threats and shit because they from Somalia. You know what I'm saying? They fought other shit, lions and tigers and, you know, I don't think they scared of the other threats unless y'all really just come with it. But threats ain't going to do nothing for them but turn them up. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? Fuck ICE. Fuck Trump. Stop fucking with the Mollies. Don't even come fucking with Minnesota, period. We don't even fuck with y'all. Don't leave us out the conversation. We cool. We dealing with the cold and recovering from George Floyd and COVID. And we'll deal with the Mollies. My mama. You want to take a little bit of them, though, because they can't drive? Cool. But if it ain't that, yeah. And I don't understand how the fuck they keep getting new cars, though. I don't like that, though. They keep getting all the newest cars. They be having Benzes, Audis, everything. I can't even get me a little Subaru. And they be having everything, G. So we could talk about that part. But leave the Mollies alone, G. Leave the Mollies alone.
When y'all niggas gonna wake up, man? This is a competition. This is a war. They are outdoing your ass. They riding around in new cars and your ass is sitting here can't even get a fucking car. You don't think nothing wrong with that? You talking about something you want to protect them? Nigga, let ICE take them motherfuckers, bruh. It's just like niggas that's always want to jump and be Captain Save them. Bruh, let them go, bruh. What do you mean? We ain't got nothing to do with that. I guarantee you if ICE was coming to get your ass, the Somalis would be like, man, take them niggas.
Why did I see a tweet today talking about the fact that Trump is targeting Somali people in Minnesota is going to put Black Americans at risk? I don't think so. I think that Black Americans and Somali people don't look anything alike, first of all.
For real.
Second of all, they don't even consider themselves Black.
We are Somalis, not Black. There, I said it.
Somalis are not black. Let me explain why. Looking at me right now, chat, am I black? I'm literally brown. I'm literally brown, bro. Think about it as well. Somalis are Arabs. We're in the Arab leagues. We speak the Arab language. We eat the Arab food. Bro, think about it like this, bro. If a whole community doesn't regard themselves as black, we can't be black, bro.
Somalis are not black. Now, before you disagree with me, I just want to say, listen, right? There's no such thing as the term black. The term black only came about in colonization. I don't have to accept that, sahib. That's why the other day when I was in a place, someone said to me, are you black? I said, I'm not black, sahib. I don't accept that term.
Somalis are not black. There's a difference between African and black.
You think that a person, any person, can't tell the difference between a Black American and a Somali person? I don't think so. I think that you can tell the difference between a Somali person and a Black American person. Like,
I know my people.
I really do. And I'm just saying.
I know who belong to me, tell you that much. And on top of that, these clowns, y'all niggas is out here talking about some, yeah, leave the Somalis alone, the ICE, we don't like y'all, blah, blah, blah. And they telling the internet they ain't black. But as soon as ICE show up, we black. Come on, bruh, wake up. Y'all gotta do some goddamn research, man. Stop falling for the bullshit.
So Minnesota's been back in the news a lot lately, and I just wanted to kind of give you guys the skinny on kind of like the history of Minnesota. I lived there for 4 years. I had a lot of Somali friends. I learned a lot. So we're going to start like millions upon millions of years ago, when the first Somalis settled in downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota, right? They were right there. It's like literally just that little section right there, downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's where like the first Somalis were formed.
Millions. You sure you want to say millions?
I know they kind of talk about like the Native Americans. The Native Americans were completely all over Minnesota, all over the entire United States. But the very first recorded Somali is in downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota. That is just like how it occurred. There's a bunch of them. They all just kind of popped up there. It was like a whole crazy situation. And they were fine with the Native Americans. The Native Americans thought they were cool. The Somalis thought the Native Americans were cool.
So you trying to say that the Somalians was here before the settlers came, and they were here with the Native Americans, and it was they're Native American. That's what you trying to say. You trying to say the Somalis are Native. How stupid do y'all niggas gotta be, bruh? How stupid are y'all?
It was a whole thing. It was completely fine. Somewhere I'd say around the birth of Christ, or even just a little bit earlier than the birth of Christ, I'd say.
It's raised bait.
A bunch of Somalis went over, kind of, like by boat. They went over to the continent of Africa, eventually crossing until they got to modern day Somalia, which is what modern day Somalia as it is today. And they met more Somalis there. All right, so they were Somalis also in Somalia as well. All right, so again, just to track. Downtown Minneapolis, Somalis, the very first Somalis, I'd argue, and then Somalis from Somalia as well. And they intermingle, they intermix. It's a whole thing, generations upon generations. And so the Somalis, they are like, oh yeah, like eventually we have to go back to downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota. Like, it's their birthright. It's their whole place, the entire state, basically. But when they decide to do that, the triangle trade starts up. Right, so the triangle slave trade starts up. So they have trouble getting back all the way to the United States, and it's this whole thing. Like everyone in Somalia is having like a terrible time. It's completely awful because they can't get back to their homeland. And as you know, in a lot of like Minnesota's holy books, it states that like downtown Minneapolis was promised to them thousands upon thousands of years ago. And so when triangle trade stopped and kind of like Jim Crow laws like stopped as well. Thousands upon thousands of Somalis migrated back to their homeland. And yeah, like they've got like all types of holy sites there. The Mall of America, the Walker Art Museum, they are specifically Somali holy sites. And yeah, now today it's completely kind of like I wouldn't even call it like retake. It's been kind of like returned. I'd say downtown Minneapolis and some parts of St. Paul. Have not just been like returned to the Somalis and yeah, like I don't know how to like tell you guys that like that's just kind of what I learned while I was there. And now you can't go to Minneapolis, Minnesota, or St. Paul, the greater St. Paul area, the Twin Cities as they like to call it. There, that was actually a Somali who came up with the term Twin Cities. And yeah, now you can't go to Minneapolis, Minnesota without seeing one, and that's just because like they returned to where they were from, and I can't blame them. Like every time I see a Somali in the news, I just understand that like that's Minnesota.
We got some of the stupidest people in the black community. I mean, you could tell a nigga anything and he'll just get on TikTok and parrot that shit, like he know what the fuck he talking about. I really went in just to kind of fact check just maybe one thing he was saying. He said that the person that came up with the name Twin Cities was from Somalia. And I fucking looked it up, and it was Ignatius Donnelly, representative, and he is American, born in Philadelphia, of Irish immigrant parents. So just our people parroting the bullshit is just, I don't know, it's frustrating. I don't know if this was rage bait or what, man, but he sure did a good job, man. Did a good job, man. You done pissed me off to the highest.
The fraud that's happening in Minnesota, like over billions of dollars, allegedly Tim Walz knew everything about it. Like over 400 whistleblowers from DHS, Minnesota DHS, reported to him like, hey, we're being scammed. We think something fraudulent is happening. And instead of Tim Walz being on board with them and investigating the fraud, he retaliated against them systemically, isolated those employees, and he lowered the safeguards on these programs where you could even take advantage of them even more for over 2 years. And this is how all this money accumulated this scam, scamming taxpayers out of hundreds of millions of dollars up to billions plus, because he lowered all the safeguards, all the protections. Like, he welcomed fraud. Even one of the fraudsters that got caught up, the people who scammed, these programs, he honored them with like some type of refugee award. Now, Tim Walz is under investigation. But yeah, over 400 employees, DHS employees, came to Tim Walz and pointed out the fraud, but he just let it go on for years.
I guarantee you, once the investigation start, if they haven't already, and heads roll, everybody gonna point the finger. Them Somalians, they gonna point the finger to Tim Walz. They gonna rat his ass smooth out and try and save themselves. I guarantee you. I'm interested to see what happens though. Is it gonna be a lot of arrests? What's gonna happen? Because if Trump's saying he's sick of this shit, then that's something. What if this was AI though? That'd be crazy, right?
I have news. Somalians in Minnesota are pretending to have autism to steal your taxpayer dollars. In 2023, displaced Somalians sent back $1.7 billion to their Somali government. 40% of households in Somalia get paychecks from Somalis in America. They're getting this cash from scamming COVID programs, SNAP, Medicaid. So for example, autism claims to Medicaid in Minnesota went from 3 million in 2018 to 399 million in 2023. So 1 in 16 Somali 4-year-olds have autism. That autism treatment is then administered by Somalis, reimbursed by federal taxpayer dollars, and then that stolen money is sent back home in the form of remittances, which is just cash as a gift. So essentially, Somali populations in Michigan and Minnesota are running these fraudulent crime rings that no one's talking about. So how does this happen? Well, for the past 30 years, Somalis have been under TPS, temporary protected status in America. Now, usually you only give TPS to some after an earthquake or a tsunami because you can't immediately send them back home to their country. In this case, Somalis just don't want to be sent back home. Somalia is obviously in Africa. It's a third world country. It's a mess because they can't figure out how to govern themselves. But it's not undergoing a natural disaster. So why are they not being sent home? Lord only knows. But after 30 years, President Trump is finally doing away with that policy. He's ended TPS for Somalis. And I would just love for them to stay forever, except the problem is that this group is not assimilated. They view themselves as separate people. They're police officers, they're local leaders, they're news people. They all speak Somali. They do not respect native-born Americans. And in fact, they refer to their white police officers as foreigners. They have ubiquitous control over law enforcement in Dearborn and Minneapolis especially. Here's a video of a police officer apologizing because he exposed Somali criminal activity in Minneapolis.
Out of context in a way that's caused harm, I apologize and I'm sorry for that because that's not my intention.
I mean, there's nothing normal about this. It's been completely and utterly ignored by the media, and it's fraudulent criminal activity that we're just whatever. But get ready to hear a lot more about it very soon because I have a feeling the Trump administration is going in, deporting, and cracking down on the fraud that's grown rampant in these northern cities. I don't need my taxpayer dollars being sent to Somalia, thanks.
Now that I didn't seen this video, I'm starting to think that, oh boy, the nigga in the beginning, he was like, man, leave the Somalis alone, we'll deal with them. He might have been scared because they probably really run Minneapolis like that. Like, I heard that it was really bad, but I'm just now starting to get a full understanding of how bad it actually is. And I was looking for a video, I don't go through these, but I was looking for a video that really explained how the fraudulent ring actually was ran, how they're turning the autism funding into actual money, how they washing the money to transfer it into their bank accounts. You got Somali people on TikTok, defending themselves, so that should be interesting to see.
Do you mean to tell me that billions, yes, billions with a B, were stolen from American taxpayers, funneled through fraudulent nonprofits, wired overseas, and then allegedly ended up in the hands of Al-Shabaab and the girly man soy boy, Governor Minnesota, Tim Walz? He wants to talk about somebody's feelings? Don't nobody give a darn about your feelings, sir. Heck to the no. This foolishness has got to stop, and President Trump is shutting all of this the way down. Let's get into this. Grace and peace, guys. Welcome back to Unshapeable with April Chapman, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. I am your host, April Chapman, and
like that.
Welcome to today's show. You guys, we have got to start dragging some of this foolishness into the daylight. There's this insane story. Actually, this is, in my opinion, one of the most insane, corrupt, reckless, and dangerous fraud scandals that this country has ever seen. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to deal with it biblically, factually, and with the full force of truth that these leftist custodians of chaos in the Democrat Party, they try so hard to suppress. So take a look at this clip.
Massive fraud scheme uncovered in Minnesota found money intended for social services has been allegedly siphoned indirectly into the pockets of the Somali terrorist group Al-Shabaab. Somali immigrants in Minnesota have reportedly been abusing systems meant to help the most unfortunate among us, including the latest federally funded autism services. The autism fraud scheme reportedly amassed $14 million through Medicare claims for services that were never provided, involving kids who never had autism. And the Somali immigrants behind this web of schemes have allegedly stolen billions from taxpayers, much of the money going back to the Somali government, where it would then end up in the hands of terrorists. Manhattan Institute investigative reporter Ryan Thorpe was one of the first exposing the schemes for their ties to terrorism. With us now, Ryan, a line from your story stuck out. The largest funder of Al-Shabaab is the Minnesota taxpayer, and you cite an unnamed source for that. What is the evidence that all of this money that was taken and the billions upon billions of increased funding in Minnesota for social services ended up in Somalia?
Well, billions of dollars of government welfare money is missing in the state of Minnesota.
How do we define missing?
Well, the fraud is so bad that the U.S. Attorney's Office has come out and indicated that they believe their entire government programs, where the fraudulent claims outstrip the legitimate ones. There are cases where indictments have come down or guilty pleas are already in to the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars that were fraudulently.
I'm gonna keep my eyes on this. That's interesting, Dad, of how they're doing it. I really wanted to see how they were doing it because I don't like to just put a jacket on somebody without actual proof of what it is. And so, yeah, autism. There's a video that I saw on TikTok. I'm gonna show it in the next one because I'm gonna stay on this, where the guy was claiming that autism runs rapid and it's been, scientifically proven that we have higher rates of autism in Somalia. And it's like, man, shut the fuck up with that lying ass shit. Y'all think y'all slick, but it's all good. My president doing his job, you heard me?
Everybody shut the fuck up. Hey, shut the fuck up. Let me tell you something right now.
If you made it this far, check out the video we just did where the viral therapist, if you made it this far, check out the video we just did where the viral therapist, Jeff St. James, was on Single by Choice, and he gave his opinion on the boss chick epidemic.